Sup, you beautiful bastards? Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today was one of the most requested stories from the past few days, and that is the Monroe Bergdorf story. Monroe, who is a transgender model and activist, had recently signed on to be part of a diversity campaign with L'Oreal. But soon after this, Monroe did something that had some people calling her a hero and many calling her a racist. Post-Charlottesville, Bergdorf took to her Facebook and posted a rant, writing, "Honestly, I don't have energy to talk about the racial violence of white people anymore. Yes, all white people. Because most of y'all don't even realize or refuse to acknowledge that your existence, privilege, and success as a race is built on the backs, blood, and death of people of color. Your entire existence is drenched in racism. From microaggressions to terrorism, you guys built the blueprint for this shit. Come see me when you realize that racism isn't learned, it's inherited and consciously or unconsciously passed down through privilege. Once white people begin to admit that their race is the most violent and oppressive force of nature on earth, then we can talk. Until then, stay acting shocked about how the world continues to stay fucked at the hands of your ancestors and your heads that remain buried in the sand with hands over your ears." Now, in response to this story blowing up, L'Oreal tweeted, "L'Oreal champions diversity. Comments by Monroe Bergdorf are at odds with our values, and so we have decided to end our partnership with her." So just like that, she gets dropped from the campaign in less than a week from when they announced it. And as you'd expect, she wasn't happy about it, and she responded on Facebook saying, quote, "Sit still and smile in a beauty campaign championing diversity. But don't actually speak about the fact that lack of diversity is due to racism, or speak out about the origins of racism. It'll cost you your job. This make a brand care about nothing but money. I urge you to boycott L'Oreal Paris. I can't express how disappointed I am in the entire team in dealing with misquotes that were entirely placed out of context." Now, as far as her rant being taken out of context, that was in reference to Daily Mail covering this, but not mentioning that this was around the time of Charlottesville. But on that specific point of this rant being connected to Charlottesville, many people said that doesn't help. You're talking about a situation where many were injured. A white woman died protesting white nationalists, neo-Nazis, the KKK. But meanwhile, you're saying all white people. Don't you see how that's offensive, how that's wrong? And when questioned about this in a recent interview, she said this.
When I was saying all white people, I'm talking about the structural racism. I'm talking about systemic racism. I'm talking about how we are conditioned to believe certain things in society. Nobody is born racist. We're all born exactly the same, but it's how society conditions us to think. You can, of course, be an ally, and I've got many allies of all races, but it's how you think. And if you're saying that you're not racist, then what are you doing to dismantle racism? Because you can benefit from racism.
So you don't accept that it's simplistic to say all white people?
No, I just don't understand how calling out the roots of racism somehow makes you a racist.
And an important thing to note is that Bergdorf does have supporters. Just a few headlines. L'Oreal dropping black trans model Monroe Bergdorf is a lesson for those who claim white supremacy isn't a thing. It's unacceptable that L'Oreal fired a black trans model for speaking out against white supremacy. Monroe Bergdorf is speaking up for black people everywhere. Some tweets. I'm honestly disgusted you've pulled her contract because she dared to comment racism exists. How is anything she said wrong? Nothing Monroe Bergdorf said was wrong or even inappropriate. All white people benefit from racism and white supremacy. This is not news. And I have to say for myself personally, I'm torn, although very slightly. When she's talking about systemic racism, society molds people, I get that. But to attach this guilt and fault to an entire race, whether they be ally or not, is ridiculous. You can say you were talking in a specific context, but your quote is, "I don't have the energy to talk about racial violence of white people anymore. Yes, all white people. The race is the most violent, etc., etc." While in interviews she says, "I'm talking about if you're not doing anything to combat racism, you are complicit." Here she is making all-encompassing statements. And really, I just want to let you know that statements like this, all it does is alienate allies. Right? I live in California. I think they invented white guilt here. Racism is alive and well in this country and in this world. You have white allies, and villainizing every white person that you don't see on the front lines, everyone that's not actively fighting for you, is the enemy. You got people just trying to survive, make sure they have enough food, make sure they have a home to live in, and you're attacking them. You have lots of allies, but you do push out people when you say that they are part of the problem. But I mention this story not because I think I'm right and Bergdorf's wrong. I'm mentioning this story because I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think what she said in the original statement makes sense? What are your thoughts on her response to the outrage? Do you think that she makes sense here, or she's just trying to deflect? I'd love to know what you think in those comments down below. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome, brought to you by Audible. If you didn't hear, I teamed up with Audible for the DeFranco Book Club. Last month's book was World War Z. This month it is Ready Player One. And you can be a part of this in a passive way by just going through the book together at the same time as everyone else. Or once you're through the book, go to DeFrancoBookClub.com and submit a video response there. Responses, reviews, reactions, send them in by September 18th. And it's easier than ever to participate because all you gotta do is go to audible.com/PhillyD. You sign up for the 30-day trial, you get a free audio book, boom, you get the book, you can be a part of it. And even if you cancel the membership afterwards, you get to keep your book. If you wanna check it out, click that link in the description. description or go to audible.com/PhillyD. Then we got a video from Life Nogging showing us how to build your own planet. Then we had How to Dad putting out a video on how to get kids to eat vegetables. Then in Hopefully It's Awesome, but could be very, very bad, but hopefully it's awesome, we got a trailer for the Magic School Bus Rides Again. It's got a mixed reaction so far. Some of the things Netflix has brought back from my childhood, I don't want to go into specifics, but they've been inferior, but I'm hopeful. Then I just had to pimp out the channel Nuka Zuka. They just put out a Lego GTA video that is exceptional. Then we got a trailer for the Joaquin Phoenix thriller You Were Never Really Here. And if you want to see the full versions of everything, I'll just share the secret link of the day anything at all. Links as always are in the description down below. Then in news that made me go, really? Let's jump to Georgia. We're talking about this today because Lynn Orletsky, a Georgia high school teacher, got caught on camera forcing two of her students out of the classroom because they were wearing Trump shirts. Let's watch it, shall we?
You cannot wear a swastika to school. You cannot use a slogan cap. Please go back.
Already love this. MAGA shirt equals swastika. Okay, continue.
Please go, at least for this. I don't care what you do in other classes, but in my class.
So that makes me want to ask, so are you saying you're okay with someone wearing a swastika as long as it's in someone else's class? Since, you know, they're the same and all.
Because it says make America great again.
Okay.
The neo-Nazis. I'm not saying about Trump.
Okay, so right there at the end, it almost seems like her brain is fighting itself. But ultimately, like I said, my response to this is, really? Lynn, I will give you that there are neo-Nazis that support Donald Trump, but that does not then make all Trump supporters neo-Nazis and MAGA a hate symbol on par with the swastika. Even at the end, it sounds like you're saying, I'm not saying about Trump that he's a neo-Nazi. Then what, Lynn? We're gonna have to bar everything neo-Nazis like? Neo-Nazis probably like ice cream, pizza. They might even be big fans of Doctor Who. Maybe they're writing some Doctor Who fanfic about how World War II should have ended. That doesn't make a shirt of David Tennant or a Dalek a hate symbol. And the fact that we have a teacher, someone in an authority position, shutting down freedom of expression in a very harmless way, it's just sad to me. Now, since this video blew up, the school district where this happened put out a press release saying the school's principal immediately met with and apologized to these students and their families. Superintendent Hightower is deeply sorry that this incident happened in one of our schools. It does not reflect his expectation that all students be treated equally and respectfully by our employees. It then goes on to say they can't talk about disciplinary action with the teacher, but definitely that the students were not punished. And that's where we are right now. Now, whether this teacher gets suspended or moved around or fired or whatever, that we'll have to wait and see. But if there is a point that I can try and get across here, it's that just because you don't like something doesn't make it hate speech. When you relate the nothings, the minor things, to the extremes, like neo-Nazis, you make it so that more people don't take the more extreme serious thing as extreme and serious because you're relating it to these diluted nothings. The closer to neutral things and people that you're relating to the extreme. I guess if anything, I'm just glad I got caught on camera so we could call it out here. And then let's talk about the big news around DACA. DACA, or Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, was a program put into place under Obama, and it was meant to protect immigrants who were brought into the country illegally as children from deportation. And it allowed for 2-year renewable legal status, work authorization, and access to certain benefit programs like Social Security. And the program was very specific as to who it was targeting. Some of the qualifiers included you had to be under the age of 31 as of June 15th, 2012. You must have lived in the United States since June 15th, 2007. Also, you had to be in school, have graduated or obtained a GED, and even if that did apply to you, you were disqualified if you had been convicted of a felony, a significant misdemeanor, or 3 or more misdemeanors. And around 800,000 people participated in this program. They're the people that have been referred to as the Dreamers. But today, the situation drastically changed. There were early non-official reports saying President Trump was going to kill this program. Then it became even more likely after Trump tweeted, "Congress, get ready to do your job, DACA." And then this morning, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the president's decision.
I'm here today to announce that the program known as DACA that was effectuated under the Obama administration is being rescinded.
And as part of the reasoning, Sessions said DACA was a way to circumvent the legislative branch, therefore it would be unconstitutional to allow it to remain in place. Obama's administration had tried to pass similar legislation to DACA. When that failed to pass through Congress, it was created through the executive branch instead. Okay, so then the question becomes, when is DACA over? Before the official announcement, sites were reporting that there was going to be some sort of 6-month wind-down period. And on that note, here's what Sessions said.
Acting Secretary Duke has chosen appropriately to initiate a wind-down process. This will enable the Department of Homeland Security to conduct an orderly change and fulfill the desire of this administration to create a time period for Congress to act, should it so choose. We firmly believe this is the responsible path.
But soon after, Press Secretary Sanders expanded on this, saying no permits will be expiring for another 6 months, and permits will remain active for up to 2 years. And so they're essentially saying this is a 24-month wind down. And it appears that during that time period, Homeland Security will be handling the specific action. And Congress, if they're able to agree on anything, will decide on what happens now. Because the question becomes, what do you do with the 800,000 dreamers in this country now? Are you going to deport them all? Also, if you do deport them all, where will you deport some of them to? You're gonna have some 18-year-olds that were brought to this country when they were 5, 6, 7, 8. They have no roots in other countries, so will some certain age brackets be protected? Or will Congress agree to continue the program, and maybe will there have to be a reapplication? There are a lot of unknowns right now. So as far as what happens now, I don't know. But what has been really interesting is seeing how some Republicans are responding to this. Senator Lindsey Graham saying, "I've always believed DACA was a presidential overreach. However, I equally understand the plight of the DREAM Act kids who, for all practical purposes, know no other country than America." Senator Jeff Flake saying DACA children should not be punished for the sins of their parents. Senator James Lankford saying we as Americans do not hold children legally accountable for the sins of their parents. Senator Tom Cotton saying in any legislative fix, I would like to see them receive a green card. And Senator John McCain said, "I strongly believe that children who are illegally brought into this country through no fault of their own should not be forced to return to a country they do not know." So even on the Republican side, it seems that while they may not have agreed how it happened, it does appear that many people are seeing this as a situation that needs to be addressed. And I have to say, personally, looking at the situation, I wish that it was a little more black and white. It's a very gray situation to me. I believe that if you come to this country, it needs to be legally. But at the same time, let's say 23 years ago at the age of 1, your parents bring you into this country. You're a baby, it's not your choice. So you grow up like any other kid, you go to school, maybe you want to go to college, all of a sudden this DACA thing happens. You enter the program, you're a contributing member to society, and then all of a sudden that could just go away. I mean, you're talking about 800,000 people that could have stayed in the dark, but it appears that they want to be contributing members to society. They're getting or have already gotten an education, a degree. People staying out of trouble with the law, people paying into Social Security, paying taxes. And actually, on the note of contributing members to the United States, people that you might not think about, reportedly one of the most massive creators on this site is actually protected by DACA right now, and that is David Dobrik. He talks about it in a video the other day, and after the Sessions speech, he tweeted, "I paid $400,000 in taxes last year, and all I got was a free trip back to Slovakia. Hashtag defend DACA." And I'm using David as an example here because he's one of the most extreme, but it's been very interesting to see who this is actually affecting. Since the news came out, this was a possible reality. It was very interesting to see the people standing up and speaking out. I mean, if we want to talk about this in a non-emotional business sense, there are some experts that estimate that if these workers are removed over the next decade, there will be $460 billion in damage to our economy. And even with the president's tweet of Congress, get ready to do your job, it appears that maybe he's not fully on board with shutting the thing down. So maybe Congress can do something with the time that they have now. But as of right now, we will have to wait and see what happens next. Can Congress actually come together and decide on something? And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed yesterday's Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes mail vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name is Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.